If a few daily foods could help your brain age more slowly or keep you sharper as you age, would you try them? Well, today I'm going to share with you the details of the Mind Diet. I'll share with you what the research says, what this diet is about. I'll give you the details that will allow you to implement that diet today. I'm also going to give you some quick strategies that's going to help you to stay consistent. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Diane Thompson. I'm a neuro rehabilitation physician and a lifestyle medicine specialist. And as I mentioned, today I'm going to break down the MIND diet. So, MIND, M-I-N-D, stands for Mediterranean dash intervention for neurodegenerative delay. And it blends the Mediterranean diet, which we know very well, with the DASH diet. And the DASH diet is dietary approach to stop hypertension. So it blends both of them and it focuses on foods within those diets that are shown to improve brain health. The focus here is on green leafy vegetables, other vegetables, berries, nuts, whole grains, beans, fish, poultry, and even olive oil. It limits things like butter, cheese, red and processed meat, pastries, sweets, um, fried and fast foods. So, why the Mind Diet? Why does it encourage certain foods? Well, these foods are said to deliver certain things like fiber and polyphenols and folate and vitamins and minerals and omega 3. And many of these nutrients are known to support blood vessels, reduce oxidative stress, and even calm inflammation, and all of which are important for brain health. Of note, alcohol has shown up in the Mind Diet in the form of red wine, and this is optional. And in fact, there have been recent research that show that even moderate amount of alcohol can actually be damaging for the brain. So I'm saying that to say, if you don't currently drink alcohol, please don't start to drink it thinking you're going to help your brain's health. And if you do, this is a great time to cut back because, again, the new studies are showing that it is not beneficial. Actually, why red wine was recommended is the resveratrol that's in the red wine, but we can get resveratrol from other sources. And some of these sources include grapes, right? These are safer alternatives. You have certain berries like blueberries, strawberries, even cranberries and mulberries have some resveratrol, peanut and pistachio, tomatoes, and plums. So you can get it from other sources without doing alcohol. And I'm going to also start off by saying that I generally tend to like a more plant forward approach to eating. However, one benefit of this Mind Diet is that because it allows for some other things like your chicken and your fish, many people find it to be a lot easier. We always say, what's the best diet? It's the one that you'll actually follow, right? So since it seems to be easier and it does have many components of brain healthy foods, then I really wanted to cover it today because we want to make sure that people are adherent. You're going to continue to do the things that are important for your brain's health and your cognitive wellness. All right. So here are some research information that we should know, though, about the Mind Diet. We did have one research that showed substantial slowing of cognitive decline with aging. This study was done in 2015. All these studies I'm going to list below in the reference so you can read in detail. There was a 2022 study that concluded that the Mind Diet was associated with a decrease in the risk of dementia. Again, more studies was always recommended. We also have evidence from 2012 that shows aspect of the Mind Diet. Like in the Annals of Neurology in 2012, it talked about dietary intake of berries and the flavonoids that come from these berries, and that they appear to reduce the rate of cognitive decline, particularly in older adults. Again, berries recommended in the diet. We have another study in the Journal of Neurology 2023 that looked at African American participants in this study who had a higher consumption of whole grain. they seem to have a slower decline in global cognition. There's a Rush memory aging project that was published in Neurology 2018, and they show that with just one serving a day of leafy greens, that was associated with a slower cognitive decline. It even mentioned that the improvements seem to be around 11 years younger, the cognitive benefit. And the Nurses' Health Study, that's been going on for many, many years, and it looks at many aspects of health. And one of the things it looked at was cognitive health and green leafy vegetables, and it found significant slowing in global cognition with people who ate green leafy. A 2016 study in neurology found that older adults with dementia who ate one or more servings of seafood per week seemed to have less cognitive decline. I mentioned that because seafood is also one of the things that's mentioned in the MIND diet. So lots of studies showing that there's an association, and that's important, right? Many of these studies show an association, not proof, that eating a certain way seems to be consistent and compelling information that it improves brain health. I will mention there was a randomized controlled trial back in 2023, and that one looked at the MIND diet along with another healthy way of eating. Both groups lost weight, and the result did not show a significant difference between the two groups when it came to cognition. And the researchers believe that perhaps because both diets were considered healthy diets or healthy approach to eating, and both groups lost weight, you did not really see the significant difference. Still, the takeaway is mind appears to be one of the practical approach for healthy eating and brain health. All right. One of the things to mention is that processed food, there's a caution here, and I'm going to talk more about it later. Ultra processed food intake is linked to faster cognitive decline. And it's actually the MIND diet suggests that we limit eating in this way because, again, the goal here is to improve our cognitive health. So, how do we go about implementing the MIND diet? All right. Easy. Here we go. So here are the simple weekly targets. Number one, leafy green, 6 servings a week. 6 servings a week. These include spinach, your greens like mustard, colored turnip, beet greens, arugula, Swiss chard. So get them in there 6 times a week. These leafy green vegetables are packed with different vitamins and antioxidants, and these have been shown to help to protect the brain cell, also to support healthy blood flow and to reduce inflammation. And all of this is important to the brain health. And current evidence recommend that you get these nutrients from your food first, rather than eating badly and then trying to take a supplement to make up for how you eat. Right? The second recommendation, other vegetables. Try to have other vegetables on a daily basis. This includes your orange, your red vegetables like carrot, asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, onions, mushrooms. So all of those that are not green leafy, have them on a daily basis. And while the green leafy there's a big emphasis in my diet for green leafy, the other vegetables are also essential, right? They protect your brain. They seem to also supply a wide range of vitamins, of minerals, of phytochemicals, and also antioxidants. And these are all important for your cognitive function. The third thing is berries, right? Have berries 2 or more times per week. And we're talking about blueberries, some of my favorites, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, and even cranberries and mulberries. So having them at least 2 times a week, there's robust evidence about the effects of berries and the flavonoids, that they can be powerful for the brain health. They're packed with androcyanins and flavonoids. And again, these nutrients have been shown to protect the neurons. They also improve communication between the brain cells, and they improve blood flow in the brain. And they're definitely linked to slower cognitive aging. Number 4 would be nuts 5 times per week. Nuts include walnuts, almond, pistachio, Brazil nuts, and cashew. Nuts provide a powerful combination of healthy fats. They also give you antioxidants. They give you vitamins that protect and nourish the brain. Do remember that nuts are very high in calories. So pay attention. I have to do that sometimes because I'll take a handful, and you just have to be careful. Beans, 3 to 4 times a week. This includes your lentils, your black beans, your chickpeas, navy beans, pinto beans, you name it. One of my favorites, and a favorite in the Caribbean, is like your red kidney bean. We use it in rice and peas or in stew peas. I find beans to be so versatile. They're inexpensive, but you can do so much with them. And they're very filling. And, they have so many good benefits. The other important thing is that beans are important in fiber and a great source of plant protein. They're also rich in nutrients like magnesium and other vital nutrients that are important for improved vessels in the brain. Beans really do a good job of keeping your blood sugar level steady. And that's going to be very important when it comes to being anti inflammatory. In the link below, I'll share with you a recipe book with beans so you can play with that. Beans I find to be very fun. Number 6 would be whole grains. So whole grains include things like oatmeal, your quinoa, brown rice, your barley, bulgur, your rye and millet. And they're important as a part of the mind diet because they provide the brain with a steady and reliable source of energy and of nutrients to support your memory and also your cognition. Number 7 is fish, 1 to 2 times a week. Certain fish provides omega-3 that's important for brain structure and reducing inflammation and improvement in cognition. One thing to note, though, is that some types of fish can contain mercury and other environmental contaminants. And these can actually have detrimental effects on the brain. The Mind diet actually emphasizes eating fish such as salmon, sardine, trout, and mackerel while limiting high mercury options like swordfish, king mackerel, shark, and tilefish. And for those who don't eat fish, talk with your physician or other healthcare professional about options. There are things like nuts where you can get some omega-3, walnuts, chia, flaxseed. And then in some cases, there are people who do take some supplements. So you want to talk with your physician and healthcare professional about. You want to make sure that things are individualized for your needs. Number 8 is olive oil. And the benefit here is that you're using olive oil to replace other fat. So instead of butter and margarine, you would use olive oil. It's a monounsaturated fat, seems to have some anti-inflammatory benefit. Research has shown that olive oil is linked to better brain health, particularly when used in place of, again, butter and margarine. You need to be careful and consider that olive oil is very calorie dense. So using too much can contribute to unwanted weight gain. And this in itself can raise your risk of dementia or cardiovascular risk. Also, if you have any issues with hyperlipidemia, talk with your doctor to see if this is something you should avoid. And you do want to look at how you prepare the olive oil. You want to reach for extra virgin, and you try not to use it where you're doing deep frying. That's not the best approach to using it where it's high heat or you're frying it because it's believed that it can damage some of the beneficial compounds. All right. And again, also important, if you do have a history of hyperlipidemia, talk with your physician or your healthcare professional. Number 9 is poultry. The Mind diet recommends poultry 1 to 2 times a week. Poultry provides lean protein. It's generally lower in saturated fat than red meat. And the Mind diet believes that it's the healthier option. Again, I tend to be more plant forward. I look more at lifestyle medicine, and that's a more plant predominant way of eating. But again, I do know that some of my clients want to look at a more relaxed way of eating, that's still going to be important for their brain. So I think that it's important that we do take a look at the mind diet in a case like that. So, what to limit here? You want to avoid fried foods, fast foods, butter, cheese, margarine, red and processed meat. So let's think about some of the possible swaps, right? Because sometimes when you take things away, it's so hard. But if you swap things, it makes it a lot easier. And our goal is to have strategies that's going to make us be successful when we try to adjust how we eat. So, for example, butter, you swap that out with extra virgin olive oil. If you like white toast, consider sprouted or whole grain. If you like chips, consider nuts or some crunchy fruits like apple. Maybe if you're someone who likes fries, try roasted sweet potato or crunchy chickpeas instead. Deli meat, these are processed meat. Try using the fresh poultry or bake it on your own. Sugar dessert, look at berries or a piece of dark chocolate. That might be helpful. Refined cereal, try steel cut oat. Something else that I try is I'll soak the oat overnight with some chia seeds, and that's really good. If you like fried, opt for bake or grill instead. And if you like sweet yogurt, try a plain yogurt and add your own berries and even add some nuts and some chia seeds and some flax seeds. That's actually one of my favorite snacks. And the last one is if you want creamy salad dressing, consider mixing a little Dijon mustard with some fresh squeezed lemon and maybe a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and mix that up and you can get your own dressing that way. So remember again, we're looking for high rate of success. And the goal is not to make you feel like you're removing everything, but you can swap out things. And also keep in mind the portion that you're using. Another way to stay consistent, another tool that's very effective is a 2-minute weekly scorecard that you're going to get yourself involved with. And the goal here is that each week you're going to score yourself either 0, 0.5, or 1, depending on how you carry out this mind diet. This is going to be a great way for you to self monitor, keep score, and be an active participant. And it also gives you feedback, instant feedback that allows you to visibly see how you're doing. And next week, you can try to do better, right? When you gamify things or put yourself in a situation where you're self-monitoring, you tend to do better. So give that a try. Again, your goal is 8 out of 10 each week and, see how you do. One week you'll do well and the next week you'll do even better, right? Another strategy to help you is to meal prep. If you don't have to think about it, if you can just pull the thing out of the refrigerator and go, you tend to do very well. Also, have snacks in little bags, or I saw someone recently with a container with different compartments, and there were nuts and seeds, and there's snacks sitting around. So instead of reaching for candy, they reach for those snacks. Another thing that you can potentially do to improve your chance, remember that things like berries are not available all year round. So you can get your berries and put them in the freezer so that you have a serving of berries. I have the ice trays and I put certain berries in the ice trays, for example, that I will use to make smoothie. So as I've shared with some of you before, I will use blackcurrant or bilberry to help with my eyes. And I put them in the ice trays. And then when I'm making my smoothie, I can pop it out and put it in the blender. So you can find ways like that to help improve your rate of success. Another thing is to mindify the way you eat. And what that means is, for example, as a Jamaican, I like stew peas. I like red pea soup. Well, you can make it the mind diet way. And that would be like eliminating the processed food that in that stew peas and instead just using the beans alone. And one of the things I love to do is to top off. I top off soup and stews with greens. Like I have greens growing in my hydroponic system and I cut them and just add them, chop them up and put them on top of my stews and my soups. And that's a great way to get more greens in your diet. Another thing that also comes up is, as I mentioned, I like more of a plant forward way of eating, and people will sometimes ask about supplement. If you're really eating mostly plant predominant and you're not eating meat, then you want to talk with your physician or other healthcare professional about vitamin B12 supplementation. That's something to talk with them about because you do want to make sure you are receiving all your nutrition as much as possible. All right. So there it is, the Mind Diet, what it is, what it includes, what they expect from you on a weekly basis. And I've also shared some beneficial strategies to help you to implement and to adhere, to stick with it, because that's really important. To further solidify that information, I do have a new ebook and mini course on the Mind Diet. And once I have the link, I'm going to stick it below so you can find that information and click on it and better absorb it so you can implement it even better. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with another woman who is over 50, who's looking to take care of her cognitive health and also who's looking for healthy aging and longevity. I'm Dr. Diane Thompson. Thank you so much for watching.